Hi everyone. Well, here's my video about the closing ceremonies of the Paris Olympic Games, the 33rd Games. And I'm sorry for this, it's so late, but I wanted to really try to understand it. And by the time I do the research and then load it and then have time to do the voiceover, time flies by. So if you're new to my channel, I'm a sidereal astrologer that understands that tropical astrology is not following what's actually happening in the sky. And you're also welcome to discover this by taking an app on your phone and putting it up to the sky, and you'll start to see that the planets are not in the constellations that they're telling you they're in tropical astrology. So by doing the sidereal, we start to connect more to nature because it's what's actually happening, and it's not an old sky because the sky loses time. The sun loses a degree every 72 years with the precession of the equinox. And so therefore, the only sky that you can follow is sidereal, which is the actual sky, which is not frozen in time. So I just wanted to say that because a lot of people are new to my channel and they're not sure what this is all about. Yes, I like to do the decodes because astrology is in most decodes, and it's important to understand the symbolism. So I want to kind of go through the two paths. That's basically what brought me to all this, was understanding that the soul has paths to choose. And I do believe in prophecy, that they tell you that if you're, living in a state of not just bliss, but in a state of love through your heart, and you will bypass the punishment of human consciousness that, we kind of put ourselves in through the desire of materialism and the disconnect from ourselves, which is happens from the disconnect from the sky and also from the disconnect from nature. So I do believe that getting back to nature is important. So that's why I'm not on the computer as much, because I'm trying to, actually fulfill what I do believe and get outside and just start to connect to nature and understand the seasons and um, the knowledge through the seasons, like when to plant, when not to plant, and all those things, and how to heal yourself through ley lines and through positions of the sky, right, through the planets. So it's a lot to learn, but it's also very empowering. So I hope you stay with me, and over time, I will be getting more to the health modules of astrology because I think that's really where we need to all go. And, decoding the reality that we live in is just entertainment at this point. And that's really what this is all about. But it's entertainment to help you awaken to the fact that the human body is divine and self-healing. Okay, so this is the YouTube channel for the Olympics. And they say down here, we bid you adieu from the city of love as Paris 2024 Olympic Games comes to a close. Adieu in French means God. Okay, so we bid you from God, from the city of love. So they're basically saying we bid you God from the city of love. So what I found interesting, there was a little glitch where they just showed this, the eye, the human eye, because everything is going to be done through your eye, right? It's either what you perceive, what you see, and also your recognition is all happening through the eye. So the eye is the way out, but it's the inner eye that you have to open, right? So that's really where we're at this point. So I wanted to go over Trump because my last video, because of the opening ceremony, was, they even said it was a ceremony to Dionysus. Dionysus was conjunct with the sun and Uranus when Trump was born. So I find this really fascinating. So I have a feeling he's kind of our Dionysus character, okay? That they're, you could say Thoth, Dionysus, they're all kind of the same character, right? It's an allegory of knowledge and understanding that nature is the path, right? So Dionysus has two rituals, one in the fall and one in the spring. One is the city ritual, I believe, is in the spring, and the farmers, the rural area, is in the fall when the harvest happens. So I have a feeling they're kind of going to separate society in this way, you know, city dwellers and rural dwellers that live off grid. And if you look into C40 cities, the letter C and the number 40, their agenda is to have organic farmers around the city. And that's what's going to be feeding the city, because it's supposed to be all vegetarian, organic food going into these big cities. So it's just little things to keep your eyes open to, and understand that there is a path. Some people will go to that path, but I do believe in a way it's the path of, you know, that you're not awakened, right, into the cities. And then the rural is more connecting to nature and awakening and getting empowered from nature. So I do have some of my stuff is getting like deleted from YouTube. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I can't help that. Just from things that I've said about health and stuff, they're starting to crack down a lot on community standards and speaking about health and how you heal, right? So anyhow, this is Trump's birthday, and you can see he's a Taurus. If you listen to tropical astrologers, they'll tell you he's a Gemini, but he was born right between the two horns of Taurus on the Crab Nebula, which is the first recorded sound supernova that the Chinese recorded back in, I think, the 1100s. Okay, so it's a very spiritual place between the two horns, because Taurus rules your third eye. It's the lateral ventricles in your head, which are horns. Okay, so this is your third eye, and it rules the house of money. And so when your third eye can manifest, you will, you know, bring wealth to yourself. That's really what it's all about. Okay, so yeah, the wealth is can be knowledge or healing or in a way, but in astrology, they typically think of it as possessions. But I see it more as wealth in your whole being. You know, it's not just material wealth. And Venus and Saturn were conjunct in Gemini when he was born. So that was just a cool link that I wanted to bring forth because of the opening ceremonies. So they're saying here the stage, right? This was the stage, and I saw the arrow in it, and then I was like, what is that? What is the stage? And they're trying to say that it was represented the continents and stuff, but people are having a hard time understanding because it doesn't really look like the world map. So I found an article where it's saying some floated the idea that it could have been a geometric cat, while others suggested a horse, which I really saw the horse, okay? And even a slices of pie, which is funny about, you know, Pi Day. I've done videos on Pi Day and the importance of Pi Day, especially next year. We have a blood moon on Pi Day. And yeah, the blood moon is on the Ascension star, where Einstein actually recorded the speed of light in that position. Okay, so there's lots of interesting astrology coming up even for next year. Okay, so now you can kind of see the horse here, the ears, and this arrow through. But as I saw that, I was like, oh my God, it's one of the horses of the apocalypse, most likely, because yeah, definitely to me it looks like a horse. I guess you could say it's a cat, but to me it definitely looks like a horse. And then the color of the horse changes. They have it silver, and then sometimes they have it black, and then they have a white marker around it. So they're kind of showing you the different colors of it, right? So you have the pale horse, the white horse, the black horse, the red horse, but in the apocalypse. Now this first horseman of the apocalypse, this was depicted back in the year 1000. So it's the first living creature with the halo is seen in the upper right. The first living creature. Now, is that a donkey? I think it is. That Jesus rides, and that would maybe be the cross. And this cross, this, you know, grand cross, it's an astrology cross, right? Because when you take the fixed signs or the mutable four signs, um, or the cardinal four signs, it always shows like that. So that cross represents also the sky, right? So, and then they have a halo. beside it. But yeah, it's fascinating. But why I got onto this picture, because I found the horse with the arrow. Okay, and this is the pale horse. Okay, now there's talking about the pale horse, of course, in Revelations, right? Behold the white horse. Well, no, they're saying the white horse here. Okay, so behold the white horse, and who had sat on it had a bow and arrow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out to conquer, and conquering and to conquer. The above passage is common English translation of the rider of the white horse. He is thought to carry a bow in the Greek. And we always want to go back to the Greek. It's very important. And wear a victor's crown. And then they have this other fulfillment of it where it goes negative. Okay, so that sounds positive, right? To conquer, conquest, and glory. But then other people, oh no, it's the Antichrist. Okay, so again, it's the two paths. They're saying the white horse is the Antichrist. And I know in Westworld, the modern Westworld, with the whole AI and the robots and living in a false reality, they use the white horse as the Antichrist. So, it's really your choice how you see it. That's really what they do. They do the bipolar, basically, realities. Now here I saw that when Stefani, had wrote a song about the Black Death. Okay, because in the apocalypse, the black horse represents the plague and death, right? So I was like, okay, this is crazy. So the plague was, um, part of the whole Dionysus, what I did in the opening ceremonies. Remember, I talked about the plague and the phalanx and how it was affecting the phalanx. And that's what the Black Plague is. So the Dionysus plague is the Black Plague. Okay, so now people are doing songs about it, right? So it's like it's gonna kill you in a few days. The pandemic's so severe, the Black Death caused such horror and fear, and there ain't no cure for that, girl. You get archal necrosis, and yes, and this urasthenia pestis, that's the disease that Dionysus creates. Okay, so they're most likely going to try to most likely. To me, this seems like a precursor. And they blamed it on the fleas and the rats. Okay, so they, but they've done like research now, and they're saying it wasn't the rats that had fleas, it was actually the people. Okay, so it's like, so the whole flea and the rat thing and the plague, this is all kind of bizarre. So I'm going to link in now through this video how they keep referencing the flea. Okay, so and the flea loves warm weather, right? And there's the global climate's getting warmer, so maybe there will be more fleas. I know there's more fleas here on my place this year than I've ever had before. So it's all very interesting. So starting in China, this is all part of her song, Don't Know How, that the Mongols used biological warfare at Kaffa, hurled infective corpse at Genesis. The Italians fled back to Sicily, and in 1347, the Black Death said hello to Europe. But it's done it more than once, right? It's not just in 1347, the Black Death. So it's a repeated plague. So here they're saying, yes, this is where they're saying it's most likely did not spread and be transmitted by rats. It was spread from person to person. Rats didn't spread the Black Death. It was humans. So this is what an infected flea looks like. Okay. So fleas and ticks that humans carry around with them on their bodies and clothes. So then that's the one path, right, that they showed in the closing ceremonies. Then they had this other character that came in. I think he kind of came in from the sky. And he was in this cross. So again, this solar cross, right? So that's the Jesus character, right? But they didn't make him look like Jesus. It's kind of funny. He looked like a big giant alien bee, right? A golden bee, which is kind of representative of honey Okay, so here he is. You know, I'm sure people thought it was like alien, but he was doing the fill flot leg position. This ties into the hangman. And you can research that. I'm not going to go into that. I've done it before, but it's just the leg position is symbolic to the tarot card, the hangman. And yeah, this is them up close. So it's definitely looking like a bee. And then he gets onto this mountain of people. So he's like almost like ascending up the mountain, right? And they're holding him up because he's the ascended soul and he's up on the top of the people. Excuse me. So, and then as soon as he does that, there's all the fireworks and he's pointing to the sky and it's like he's in ascension, right? So that was that path. Then they, because it's like the Phoenix, right? The rising of the Phoenix. So then they had the Phoenix band playing, Billie Eilish and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, what's interesting about the Red Hot Chili Peppers is that their bass player is named Flea. Okay, so I'll go into that later, but I just thought that was just like, oh my God, how crazy is that? So, and then they had this symbolism of this statue, right, of the headless woman. And this is the stairway to victory. Okay, so again, he climbed the mountain. It's the stairway to victory. This is in the Louvre, right? And I had already researched all this and put this all in my book because I knew it was super important because Jay-Z and Beyonce had done a big video to this statue. Okay, so they're showing you, they're always showing us. Okay, it's like, and it's not because they're satanic, it's just they're showing you the paths. Okay, there's two paths. Okay, so it's not all just because they know the symbolism means that they're satanic. Same as I'm not satanic and you're not satanic. Okay, so you just have to understand that they have to show you so your consciousness has a choice or your soul has a choice. So this is the winged victory Samothrace. Is one of the rare Greek statues. So the Greek is very important because if you've been studying Dr. Hillman, he's telling us that the Greek is before the Hebrew. Okay, it's more important than the Hebrew. Okay, so this is the statue on the Stairway to Victory. So it's the climbing. And then they did the flame. And this is the athlete that had won the most medals. Can't remember his name, but there they had that, you know, the balloon again for the flame, right? That's what they did. That was all with the balloon. But this is during the day now, and this symbolizes to me the moon. Okay, it's just obvious. It's kind of like the moon path, right? So he's made the flame go out. Okay, so they're gonna kill the flame. Um, and they're saying here the flame is already out. That was quick. Yeah, people were like, wow, it's done. I wasn't ready for the Olympic flame to be extinguished this early during the closing ceremonies. Okay, so people saw that it was, you know, like, oh, wow, you know, why did it get taken out so quickly? Um, and then they did the whole Tom Cruise thing, Mission Impossible. He comes down. Now, this is just like entertainment, basically. And then he takes off on a motorcycle with the flag, and then he of course goes by the Eiffel Tower because that's the symbolism to freedom. The Eiffel Tower was built on the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. Then he dives, you know, they have this, it's kind of a weird ceremonies I found for Olympics because they were using, you know, pre-recorded footage, which they've never done before. So it didn't feel very real to me. And then he dives out of the plane, you know, like the fallen man. And then he's on the W in the Hollywood sign in LA because that's where the next Olympics are going to be. And of course, the W always relates to the Queen of Heaven. Okay, the Queen of Heaven, the constellation looks like a W. That's Cassiopeia. Okay, Cassiopeia is the W. So it's always the Queen of Heaven. You know, so you have to follow. And here's the Red Hot Chili Peppers playing. Okay, so and that's Flea there. Yeah, here he is, Michael Peter Blazary. Okay, also known as Flea. So that's just kind of weird. Yeah, I just was like, yeah, I knew he was Flea because my late husband was a bass player. And so I just, as soon as they did Red Hot Chili Pepper and all this Flea symbolism to the Black Plague, I'm like, oh my God, you know, they picked even the musician to represent that. Okay, so yeah, weird. And then they're singing the song Can't Stop. And yeah, I wanted to see what he had on his thing here. And he says, support our local, I think it says freaks, you know, like the weird people. And then the lead singer sticks this over his head and sings some of the song like he's like, you know, kind of like a zombie, whatever. So here are some of the lyrics. So, burns so bright, I wonder what the wave meant. Kickstart the golden generator. So that's your ascension process. Can't stop the gods from engineering. No, it's all a script. Feel no need for any interfering. You're not supposed to stop this. You're supposed to understand it. And then understand you have to get on your soul path. Okay. And then this is where they bring astrology into it. And the lyrics, if you go and Google these lyrics, they don't always include this last mm, paragraph. Okay, so coming from the space to teach you of the Pleiades, because the Pleiades is in Taurus, and that's where your soul gets judged from the Sirius star through the belt of Orion to the Pleiades um, in the Egyptian mythology. Okay, so can't stop the spirits when you need to need you when they need you. The life is more than just a read through. The life is more than just a read through. Yeah, it certainly is, but it is a script because you're reading it. Okay. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And they mention in the lyrics about, let me just go back here. I don't know if I missed that part to give that to you, but did they? Yeah, I missed that part. There's another lyric where they mention this woman, Julia Hill. Okay. Now she was the person that sat up in a tree, a 1,000-year-old California redwood tree for 738 days to save it back in December 10th, 1997. Okay. To December 18th, 1999. Okay. She lived in the tree, affectionately known as Luna. Okay. So the tree, they named the tree Luna. But, you know, this is understanding the moon, the feminine of it, I think, you know, and understanding that nature will free you. Okay, so that's part of the whole red pepper, red hot chili pepper song. They had incorporated her in the lyrics. Yeah, so they're saying here, since the moon was rising at the time, activists chose the name of the tree Luna, Latin for moon. Yeah, it was actually nicknamed Stafford Giant. And then here, she lived in the tree, seldom washing the soles of her feet. You know, that's your soul, you know, the Pisces, the 12th house. It's really your path of your soul, right? And or the path of your dark night of the soul. And of course they have to mention the soul. So the her symbolism is all to do with the soul, okay? But then they, you know, they change it into climate, environment, you know, all that. They kind of try to distract you from it, okay? That it's about nature. And now this is their video of Can't Stop, where he's putting his head in this. I see it as a wormhole, right? He's putting like the golden wormhole. You're gonna pass through this. That's what they're telling us. When you're awakened in this time of the end of the script, the souls that, you know, saw the script as, you know, the divine comedy, like the Dante's divine comedy, you will go through a wormhole. That's what I believe, because that's really what the symbolism is telling us. So if you believe it, I guess it'll happen. And then this is Flea, and he's like, oh, the red and the white, you know, you just got stuff up your nose and your ears are blocked because you believe in the, you know, the left and the right. You got to take the middle path. Then they kind of do this clip where we're going back to the urine. Okay, so you guys know I talk about urine, and yep, this is symbolism to urine. And then I was like, okay, they have to show something in The Simpsons about all this, about the fleets, right? So of course, there's a whole episode with The Simpsons, and the whole line was, Mom, why do we need to wear a flea collar? And she says, oh, it's just easier that way. And this was an episode, yeah, this is them putting the flea collar on. But this is an episode to 201 greyhounds. So there was 25 puppies. And then Mr. Burns there, the bad corporate guy, He wanted the puppies from them, so they sold him the puppies, and then they realized, Bart and Lisa realized, that he was going to feed them up and make them nice and clean so that he could skin them and make a brand new vest. And this episode is a parody to Be Our Guest in the 1991 Disney film Beauty and the Beast. Okay, and it's now this parody is See My Vest, okay, because he was going to make a vest out of these dogs. So, but what's so crazy is he wants a new vest, but he's wearing the monkey vest. Okay, so I'm thinking the monkey pox is just like it's a no thing, no big deal thing, but it's the precursor probably to the Black Plague. That's what I'm assuming. Here he's like looking like a bat, but he's got like the monkey vest on. And then, yeah, so then the 2001 Greyhounds, they have all these different names for all the puppies. Part of it is going to Snow White with Grumpy, and then part of it's to Christmas. So they're showing Christmas symbolism, and then the Prince and the King, and the puppy formerly known as Prince. Okay, so the Prince and the King, this is all to do with the middle path. Mainly, it's to do with, well, like, you got to know that Prince was a totally awakened soul, right? You just go look at his artwork. It's like, people are going to say he's satanic, but there's no way he was satanic. He was very spiritual. But the king to me is always Elvis. And you could say the Prince was Michael Jackson as well. Well, he was the king too, but anyhow, there's this symbolism. Now, the Elvis, Aretha Franklin, and who was it, Babe Ruth, they all died on August 16th. Um, you know, this was around the closing ceremonies, I believe. Yeah, let me just go back there. I just wanted to see the date. Sorry, because that slipped my mind. August 11th. Yeah, that was the 88. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to remember the number code for the date they chose to do it. Okay. Okay, now we're back on track here. Yeah, so okay, so the end of this episode, the dogs are running around and taking all the cables down off everybody's homes, and so they have no connection to the internet anymore. It's brilliant. Okay, so I totally believe that the people that live out of the cities will not have access to internet. Okay, so it's like you have to really get back to nature. So now, why did I put this in here? Oh, right, The Simpsons. And oh yeah, because the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea, he voiced them in The Simpsons. Okay, in Krusty Gets Canceled. Okay, so he's done movies, and he's also done um, Back to the Future. Now, Back to the Future is really important because I had a picture back when Trump was president of Melania and him in front of a Back to the Future um, billboard with the times, the digital clock times. I can't find it. It's in one of my videos, or hopefully not one of the ones that has been removed. But um, what's I knew when I saw that years ago, I was like, oh, there's something to do with Back to the Future. Now, I went and kind of went into um, trying to understand what this is all about. And uh, it's really to do with the time they have on the clock. And one of the time is November 5th, which is, election. And then the other thing is to do with the character Needles. The character Needles is actually Flea. Okay, so this is weird. And then that whole phrase of "you're fired" from Trump comes from the Back to the Future movie, with that whole thing with Needles. Now, Needles' name is Douglas J. Needles, and he says you're fired. So he's kind of like the Trump character, and then I guess they change it over eventually to Biff. But I want to do a video a bit more about Back to the Future and the November 5th date and the whole importance of that. And so, yeah, so I just want to leave it like this because to do a whole other video, this one's going to get longer and I don't want it to get off topic about the Olympic ceremony. So, but basically, it's showing us we're in a script, right? And you want to get back to the future and really escape time, or let's say master time. And that's really what this is all about, so that your soul doesn't get entrapped back into this re-loop where you come back wiped and you're like totally dumb again and don't know what the script is, right? So, yeah, so there's lots of different things explaining that we're in a reset, and the more and more I believe it and think about it, the more and more it all makes sense, right? So I don't think it's about stopping what's coming. I think it's about uh, really being able to be adaptable and know your path and manifest with abundance in that path. That's really what you want to do. So I'm going to sign out. Bliss to you guys. Check out my website, and also email me if you want to, do my classes, or if you want a reading, or if you want to support my book, all about the Olympic ceremonies, the ley lines, the Pope's visit, history in northeastern uh, North America, all to do with the natives, and how this is all part of the allegory of the script, right? It's all about going back and getting back to nature like the natives did, and trying to, get that nature back on path, that humans are connected to nature. We fell off this path in the last 200 years, right? So we got to get back there, and some of us just have to go do it. So that's really what I see as our mission. So take care, stay in bliss, and I'll be in touch and start doing more videos, a little bit more about November 5th. And obviously the whole election year this year all ties around November 5th, is all very, very important. But yeah, it's kind of cool. They've told us in many movies and shows, they just keep telling us, but until we understand what they're telling us, you can't really see it, and you get stuck in this polarity of wanting to fight the other side, but that's a trap. So try to walk that middle path and just be happy. Go with the flow. Take care, guys.